RSA Crypto, South Africa's largest blockchain community and news outlet.
All right, Mpho Dagada, who is the Commissioner for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in the Presidency. Mpho, welcome to SA Crypto.
Thank you very much for having me.
So you wrote the book Mr. Bitcoin a couple of years ago, which did pretty well. You got a really nice publishing deal. That was pretty early in the game in terms of how people were starting to find out about Bitcoin. It was really at the height of the craze. How did you get into crypto assets and blockchain technology?
It's a very interesting story. I was actually approached by someone who said to me I should buy them Bitcoin. I didn't even know what it was, and basically I bought the Bitcoin for them, and overnight the price of Bitcoin jumped from, the value of Bitcoin that I bought was 1,000 to 10,000. So I called the person, I'm like, hi, what is this thing that you taught me to buy that made so much money? And they were like, I don't even know what it is, just let's split the profit, right? So I sent them the 5,000, I kept 5,000, and from there on the hype and that inquisitiveness then grew in me to say, what is this thing that made me so much money in such a short space of time? So I started to investigate, to look into it, to read it. I'd read Chinese blogs, interpret them, understanding what's going on, what's happening. So that's where the interest basically began.
So tell us about your current role as Commissioner in the Presidency for the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I mean, that is quite a broad role. I mean, the Fourth Industrial Revolution involves so many technological advancements. Were you always technologically inclined, or was it your interest in blockchain that kind of led you to understanding further technological innovation in society today?
I think I was always technologically inclined. I was one person who really understood systems and how to lead within different systems. I think a lot of that interest came from money, sort of understanding where money is moving into the world, trying to understand how your Facebooks are doing things, how your Amazons are doing things, how Google's doing things, and just that interest in that. So that grew from there. And obviously I then chose blockchain as a path for me because I really enjoyed blockchain. And within blockchain you then understand that you can't have blockchain alone, you actually need everything else. And then you end up with the Internet of Things, where you've got artificial intelligence in, blockchain technology in, and you've got all these different things, the machine learning, and you kind of need to learn all of them. And I think that's when I then mastered a good base for tech and a better understanding for it. And
How do you feel? I mean, you're obviously close to governmental bureaucrats who are the ones who are going to assist progress of this technology. How do you feel they're responding to the technology, crypto assets, and fintech, decentralized fintech of this nature?
I think the response is only warranted and it's understandable. I spent a lot of time researching how people respond to things, and an interesting thing to note is that when paper money began, there were a lot of people that said this is a scam, right? We'll rather stick to gold, There were headlines that said paper money is a scam, don't take it, burn it, right? And some people even believe that it's evil. How do we move from gold to paper? And today, everybody's using paper money. So I think it's only understandable that in the beginning, everybody's sort of afraid, not sure, uncomfortable. And I think it's a normal thing. But what we must be aware of is that the early adopters get to benefit a lot, because when the rest of the world wakes up, they would have already heaped up piles and piles and piles of what they need to. So that's how I feel about it. And I think we need to give every individual time. When somebody says in a relationship, you've changed, I need time to think, we can't warrant how long that time is, and I think everybody needs that time. We need the Reserve Bank time for them to restructure their policies and look at how they can include this. The tax regime needs time. Government needs time. So I think we need time, but with that said, we must realize that it's a race to the top, that Switzerland is doing it, that the UK is focusing on, America is focusing, everybody's trying to get themselves to be the best version of their 4IR. So with that time needed, we need it to be time that we can actually leverage and do it quickly so that we don't lose out as a country.
And just in closing, Mpho, what do you want to see the South African government do with crypto assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of the other sort of top cryptocurrencies in the industry today? How would you like to see them in your perfect world? If you were able to make the decisions, how would you like to see them regulated in South Africa?
I think in my perfect world, I would like to see Africa leading when it comes to cryptos. And I would like to see us actually developing our own cryptos. Because when we look at Africa, we've got a lot of different mineral resources that can be turned into cryptocurrency that would be backed by that. For example, gold, silver, chromium, platinum. These are all commodities that the world is looking to that we can easily turn into a crypto, put it on a blockchain, put some artificial intelligence in there and let it run. So I'd like to see Africa developing its own cryptocurrencies, but not only that, I'd like to see Africans learning and engaging with the current cryptocurrencies that are there as well, because I think the knowledge can only come once we've actually learned and engaged. So those are my two big dreams for Africa, but I think the most important thing is it's time that Africa fixes its economic state, to move from countries where we're sort of seen as always looking for handouts, charity cases, into Africa actually taking its seat of power and saying, hold on, we've got the mineral resources, we've got the expertise, we've got what we need, we're okay, we're good. We don't actually need the handouts. We're actually fine as a country, and fixing those sort of things. So that's my dream of how we would leverage 4IR to better society and better the African people.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
SA Crypto, South Africa's largest blockchain community and news outlet.